And we are live. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Today we have an interesting topic, a very interesting topic, which I also hope to produce in my studio if I can find time. So we are looking at land versus shares, or property versus shares. Where should you put your money? That's what we are looking at this afternoon. Let me know where you are joining from. Let me know where you're joining from. Good afternoon. Let's have a discussion. Good afternoon. Let me know where you're joining me from. Property or shares? That's the discussion we're having this afternoon. Let me know where you're joining from, and let me hear your views. What do you think? Can you hear me clearly? Heavenly God, angelic. Oh God, we are joined by God himself this afternoon. Good afternoon, watching from Lusaka. Thank you so much, Heavenly God, for joining us this afternoon. Joining from Lusaka. So, Heavenly God, seeing that you're the one online so far, others are joining us. Have your parents, I don't know how old you are, by the way, have your parents ever told you to buy land? So let me know. You can say yes in the chat. It's Faith, actually. Hi, Faith. So, my parents, particularly my mother, believes in land so much. And today I'm going to share with you a story and the numbers. And she was right, but not entirely, not completely right. All right? So parents are always right, but sometimes not entirely. All right? And some of us are also parents, isn't it? So what are we telling our children? Property or land? Property or land? Those of you that are joining me this afternoon, welcome back. It's been a while. I missed you all so much. Property or land? Has your parent ever told you that? Mukonki, so I'll start with my story, right? I started work after finishing FCCA sometime around 2006, right? And then worked at Stanbic Bank, worked at some audit firms. I'm not following the timeline. I'm just throwing in companies. Worked at an NGO in Kawe called Restless Development. And around that time, I'd saved up some money. So I told my mom that I've got a little bit of money. So mom knew about it. And at the time, Minwood was selling property. So we know Minwood sells property, right? And I'm pretty sure many of you have bought some property from Minwood. So Minwood was selling land in Mutumbi, or is it Kwamwena, Minwood, that area. So they were selling land at the time in 2012. And I wasn't really aware of that because I was focused on my work. I was young, in my 20s, enjoying my life. And then my mother calls me and says she had bought land from Minwood at 3,500 kwacha, guys, 3,500 kwacha. Those of you that have bought such properties, let me know. Let me know in the comment section. Minwood, Mutumbi. Now, the time I was buying it, it was someone else who was selling this land. So my mother had bought and my sister had bought 2 pieces of land that were following each other. And then the third piece of land was on sale. So some lady who works for the UN, was selling this piece of land. So my mother called me and said, you told me about some savings that you have. There's a lady who's selling land. I need you to buy this land. I said, Mommy, I tried to say, you have to buy this land. Let me know where you're joining from. We're having an in-depth discussion of whether we should buy property or land. That's the discussion we're having. And I also want to hear your views, because recently, with the performance of our bond market, a number of people are really discouraged. They're like, what the heck? Why should we even be wasting our time, trying to invest in bonds when things are going down? Let's just go back to property that we know, right? So I understand that, and I also understand that many of us have got parents who truly believe in land. And so I want to share my experience that I had in 2012. So I went ahead and gave my mother 25,000 kwacha, and we bought this land, okay? In my 20s, I'm not really interested in the land, right? I'm like, whatever, let me just give her, watching from Kawambwa. Thank you, Faith. Let me just give her, we buy this land so that, so I gave her, we bought the land. I even met the lady, we exchanged papers, went to Minwood, the papers changed. I have this land, right? So I've had that land from 2012. I bought it for 25,000 kwacha. So today, I want us to use my figures to compare. If I had bought Copperbelt Energy in 2012, what would be the value of the shares today? So this is a real discussion, which we couldn't have had earlier on radio, because on radio, I'm restricted to 15 minutes. That's the only time that Inside Partners pays ZNBC4. So we can't extend beyond 15 minutes. That's why I need you guys to, put your monies together so that we can extend even the radio program. We can have 30 minutes and have call-ins from you guys. But YouTube, we can have a much more in-depth discussion, and I would also like to hear your views. So the comparative we are making is, in 2012, if you are 25,000 kwacha and you bought a property in Minwood, what is the value today? So those of you that have land, especially around Minwood, Mutumbi, you know that those pieces of land, which, by the way, I don't know the measurements, but I think they're about 25 by something, 25 by 20 or 25 by 25. So if you sold that piece of land today, the market price, I've received offers, people wanting to buy it, between 200 to about 250,000 kwacha. So we can comfortably say the value of the property that I bought in 2012 is around 250,000 kwacha. Okay, so the question is, if you use that 25,000 kwacha and bought shares instead, what is the value of those shares today? That's the question. So that we know which direction to take, right? Is it property? Is it land? Because some people feel like shares don't really have that much value. And I want to demonstrate to you that, in fact, if I had bought Copperbelt Energy, the value could have been similar to the land that I bought, and probably even better. And that's what I want us to discuss today. So let me know where you're joining from. And I hope the network is nice and clean, or at least viewable. I know we are using some archaic internet service provider. Sorry, guys. We need to upgrade to better internet service provider. I won't mention their names, but yeah. So that's why the network is a little bit blurry and not so clear, but we will get there eventually. So that's where we are. 25,000 kwacha. Property or shares? Who's a landowner? Let me know I. Just type I in the comment section if you're a landowner. Type I if you're a landowner. And our parents always tell us, land, buy land. You off air. Frank is saying you're off air. Okay, am I off air? Can you see me? Let me know if you can see me. So why is it that our parents advise us to buy land? like I will go back to my experience. For my mother, it's physical, it's tangible. She's able to see it. She could actually stand on the land and say, if my daughter owns this piece of land, I can die peacefully, knowing that she won't be sleeping outside. Okay, so you can see me, right? And honestly speaking, that's what my mother tells me all the time, like, please get this land, build it, because I know that Minwood means what? Okay, so because I know that if you buy this land and build the house, at least you are secured. You won't be worrying about rent and where we're going to get the money to pay rent, right? So land is tangible. You've got a title. It is secure. It is transferable. Those are the advantages that many people across the world have when it comes to land. However, land is not the only good investment. It's a fantastic investment. It's brilliant, particularly for Africa, developing countries, and countries like Zambia with very low populations and vast amounts of land, such that with the population increase, there is a demand for housing. This is clearly established. This is well understood. And this means that land should be part of your investment portfolio. However, it doesn't mean that other investments are bad. So let me give you the numbers now. We've already established that with this piece of land that I bought in Minwood, Mutumbi, at 25,000 kwacha, and I bought it off someone else. I could have bought it for 35. I bought it directly from Minwood. Right now, it's worth about 250,000 kwacha. And I bought shares for 25,000 kwacha in 2012 for Copperbelt Energy. So had I invested in Copperbelt Energy, and you can pick any other company. So a company maybe that was listed around the time you want to make your investment. So I picked Copperbelt Energy because Copperbelt Energy was listed on the LuSE in 2008. And around that time, it was selling at about 1.65 kwacha per share. So one share was 1.65 kwacha. So take your calculators, and we need to do this fast before the internet starts behaving crazy, right? So take your calculators. If you had 25,000 kwacha and you are buying Copperbelt Energy at 1.65, you are going to have 15,151 shares in Copperbelt Energy in 2012. That's the number of shares you are going to have because you are buying it at a share price of 1.65 kwacha. All right, we've established that. So take note, 15,151 shares is what you would have had in 2012. Now, we are assuming that you've held on to these shares. You have not sold these shares, and you're still keeping them today. What is the value of your portfolio in Copperbelt Energy if you have 15,000 shares? You haven't added any more, you haven't sold, there's still 15,000 shares. If the share price for Copperbelt Energy today is around 17 kwacha, which it is, multiply that 15,151 by 17, it will give you a portfolio value of, you've got your calculators, 257,575. 257,575. That's the value of your portfolio investment in Copperbelt Energy today if you had bought it in 2012. So we're trying to compare, right? So it surpasses the 250,000 value of the land, isn't it? I got this figure. These figures are published in the Copperbelt Energy financial statements. If you go back to the Copperbelt Energy financial report of 2012, you find that the share price was a mere 1.65 kwacha per share in 2012. Today, it's around 17 kwacha. And in fact, Copperbelt Energy's highest price was in 2025. It reached 25.8 kwacha. And it was the first company to reach $1 billion United States market capitalization. So the value in investing in shares is there. It can be compared to buying property as well. Let me add on why the advantage of investing in shares in a company like Copperbelt Energy could even surpass buying the land that I have. So I bought the land in 2012. Have I made any income after that? Zero. The only thing I have is the offer letter, and I haven't changed, I haven't gotten the title yet. I'm still working on it. So I just have the documents to say I own this land. And every once in a while I go, clear it, cultivate some vegetables, look at it, have fun. I'm a landowner. I don't earn any income from that property. It's just land and it's appreciating in value. Not to say that for those of you that have money, you could have already developed it, you could have put it on rent. That's okay. But right now for me, it's just land. Now, assuming I had bought shares in Copperbelt Energy, it wasn't just going to be sitting there. Throughout the period, 2012 to date, I was going to be getting dividends. So I bought the shares, and throughout the years, Copperbelt Energy has been paying dividends. So let's assume that for this period, 2012 to 2016, I've gotten about a range of 30 to 50,000 kwacha in terms of dividend payouts. So now we need to add that 30,000 to the 257,000. So let's add 30,000. I said range between 30 and 50. We'll be conservative. We'll go to 30,000. It means that my total return so far, is in Copperbelt Energy is about 287,000. It far surpasses the piece of land, undeveloped piece of land that I own, right? And then another thing about property is that, yes, it is secure property, but there are also other things that we also need to take into account. The location. Because sometimes we just assume that as long as I have property, then it's good. Sometimes the location is not good. You might have a property that you could even have gone ahead and built, but is vacant most of the times. You don't have tenants, or requires maintenance costs, or taxes, land rates, the council, right? We know the council, right? Land rates. Unfortunately, there's been a reduction in the land rates. These are things that you will see with the shares. When you are transferring your shares to somebody else, I think there's a tax, but I don't think I need to check. There could be a property transfer tax even on shares. But when it comes to things like withholding tax, we don't have withholding tax on shares for companies listed on the LuSE. So, shares or property? What do you say? What do you say? Plus the many dividends over the years. Yes, Mr. Piri. What do you say? Because oftentimes we have these discussions about money without the facts, without the figures. People discuss things that way. Guys, I'm a bonds balandapo. And then the other issues is before you can even buy land, some people, it's not everybody that has money to buy these things. And so if you don't have that bag of money for you to go buy land in Highbex, in Minwood, or even 10 miles or 15 miles, you can start slowly. In fact, that is what investment is about. It is a small contribution every month until you get to the point where you want to be. So these discussions that we normally have of that is not good, this is good, without really understanding our goals, without understanding our capacities, actually prevents us. It adds on to the fear, prevents us from taking the first step, which is the most important thing you can do for yourself. The most important thing you can do for yourself. It is small investments that eventually compound and start giving you the return. And at the end of the day, it is about building a portfolio. A portfolio is a different mixture of different types of assets. Doesn't mean that you should not buy property. It means that you should buy property. It should be part of your basket. You should also buy shares. It should be in the basket. Frankly saying, how easy is it to buy shares in Copperbelt Energy now? We need both to invest as many shares as we can. That's very true. I don't know, Frank, did you try and face a challenge? Because the time I was buying, it wasn't difficult. I understand these types of questions because there are certain companies where it's really hard to invest. So I understand why you're asking that. But if you use, I bought mine through the LuSE app. So if you go through the LuSE app, you should be able to buy some shares of Copperbelt Energy. Or if it's hard, contact your broker, your stock broker, and fill in a form and give it to them. They should be able to buy some shares for you. So I don't think it's hard to buy shares in Copperbelt Energy. So that question of land or property shouldn't really exist, guys. It should be a portfolio of investments. And my encouragement to you is get started. Don't wait for the time you're going to have a bag of money for you to start buying property. And then you feel like, now I'm a property owner, I'm a landlord. Meanwhile, you've got other opportunities like shares and bonds that could have gotten you there even quicker. All right. So for me, that is the lesson. I do not restrict myself to one vehicle. I've diversified. I tap into investments that are helping me to attain my goals. That is the aim. And if I check an investment is not giving me the return I want, these days, particularly with the developments in the bond market, as long as this investment is not serving my needs, I start looking at other investments as well. So it's not like you are married, you made an oath to GRZ bonds and said, I give my life to you till death do us part. Right? No. You can always say, okay, this is what's happening. Okay, perhaps we need to start looking at, I don't know, maybe cryptocurrencies. Maybe cryptocurrencies, right? So that's just what I wanted to share today. And I would love to hear your views, guys. I would love to hear your views because I often hear blanket statements. People make statements like, this is good, that is bad, don't do that, do this. At the end of the day, what I would advise you to do is to do your own research, but most importantly, get started. And as you get started, you can start making changes where you need to. It is possible. So I've illustrated in today's video that even shares are as valuable as that piece of land. In fact, shares can even surpass the value of the piece of land. Okay? Valentine, at what of crypto? How do you buy shares? How do you buy cryptocurrencies? I have no clue on cryptos. I have no clue on cryptos, guys. Don't ask me about cryptocurrencies. I am like your old-fashioned mother who just knows about shares and bonds and what, but no cryptos, right? And I really feel like I don't have the time to start learning about Bitcoins and cryptocurrencies. But in Zambia, anyway, it's something you can buy online. I've been told you can invest in cryptos online. So you don't even need to have regulations by, I don't know if it's Bank of Zambia, right? And I know we've got Zambians that are buying cryptos. So yeah, let me know if you know how. I'd love to know how to buy cryptos as well. So after such a long time off in terms of the Q&A, it's been a pleasure hosting you guys. And we shall continue having these discussions. What I encourage you to do is take it a step at a time and don't look at other people that have got bags of money and compare yourself to them. And let them not discourage you. Just start, buy a share, buy a GRZ bond before you, it is the discipline that's important. Before you know it, those people that were telling you about the pieces of land, will actually be surpassing them, eh? You'll be wondering. And then they'll start saying, anagudi sawati. Maezi, right? Let me end here. Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Valentine, Frank, Mulakopiri, Faith, and Benedicta. If I haven't seen you, it's been a pleasure. I'll see you next week, Tuesday. Have a good